Welcome to PlanStrongerTV. I'm your host, David Holland. Well, in today's episode, I am joined by author Kerry Hannon, who will tell us why we need to change our thinking about retirement. Our panel of CFP professionals will explore when and how people need to plan their retirements, and I will share 3 retirement mistakes you don't have to make. It's time to plan stronger.
PlanStrongerTV is made possible in part by the following.
Helping you create a better retirement through home equity. The Stephen J. Sless Group of PRMI, National Reverse Mortgage Leaders. Expect more with Sless. The Rice Law Firm is dedicated to providing prompt, high-quality, and fairly priced service in the areas of wills, trusts, probate, and estate planning. We also assist individuals with divorce, family law, and prenuptial agreements. The Rice Law Firm is the name you can trust.
High-risk investing in retirement can be a big mistake. Why? Well, relying exclusively on the stock market and its returns can be too risky for many retirees. Here's a reality check. It's hard to argue with the long-term performance of the stock market, but, and it's a big but, the long-term we're talking about might not match up with your retirement and your investing window. This is one of the biggest challenges for people to understand. For example, if the stock market, take whichever index you want, but just say that it's averaged 10% over the last 50 years. Well, that's a lot of ups and downs. That may include some years where it was up 20, and then the next year it's down 10. And maybe zeros. So we're talking about average. So an average of 10% per year is not the same as getting 10% per year. So to rely on the stock market for our income and that it's going to sustain what we draw by virtue of these nice and pretty annual average returns, well, they're called average returns for a reason. They're not predictable, they're not necessarily consistent, and we've seen this many times over in the last 2 decades where we had a strong market period followed by a downturn. Now, if I say, well, don't put all the money in the stock market in retirement, what else do you do? Well, there are a lot of choices, and here's just a simple example. We talk about diversifying and not having all of our eggs in one basket in the stock market. We might put money in bonds, CDs, cash is always good, fixed annuities, other things that are more conservative, and keep some money in stocks. The takeaway is this: downshift your risk as you approach retirement and build a plan for your needs. Maybe not necessarily what you want, but what you need. We all want growth. We all want endless growth, right? But at some point you have to get off the ride, or at least partially off the ride. You don't want to have all the money you're relying on for income in the stock market. Do that, and you'll plan stronger. Don't stop believing. Hey, Journey, how about we don't stop planning? Joining me on our panel to talk about why financial planning shouldn't stop at retirement are 3 experienced certified financial planner practitioners. First, from Washington, D.C., is the CEO of Concentric Private Wealth, Catherine Liola. Next is Kathy Longo, an author and the president of Flourish Wealth Management from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And from San Diego, California is Stephanie Barnier, the founder of Clear Sky Wealth. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's dive right in and talk about a different kind of journey, a financial journey that doesn't really end, right? So why do people need to continue to plan their financial futures when they retire and then after they retire? All right, Stephanie, you start.
Sure. I think there's this idea out there that people only need financial advice or a financial advisor when they're retiring or when they're about to retire. What we're seeing now is people are planning much earlier in their lives because they have kids, they have goals, they have the values that they want to align their money with, which is a beautiful thing. And I think this industry of finance has transitioned a lot, even in the past 10 years.
And I think there's so much more that can still happen in retirement, whether it's redefining who you are as a person, which may take financial resources, thinking about how you want to be in relationship because now both of you are not working and it's reestablishing relationship. It's planning that social piece, it's planning for the unexpected changes that will come. Maybe it's the housing change that all the kids move to another place and you want to move and you need to think about the financial consequences in all those decisions.
Yeah, there's just so many changes that are part of the entire life experience. And if we think about when most Americans are stopping work, that traditionally has been how people have defined retirement. Right. But what we are seeing right now is that retirement is really being redefined over and over and over again. Sometimes people are calling retirement from a career that they've had for 15, 20 years, but they're still only in their 40s, and then they're starting a new venture. So the idea of knowing when you're going to retire, I think is more about the planning element of what do I need to do to get to this certain place, and then what do I want to be doing while I'm in this next place and getting to the next place after that. Even if we're just traditionally thinking about retirement as defined by someone retiring in their early to mid 60s, that still gives them multiple decades of life ahead. So whether it's things like changing interest rates or market volatility or life changes, there's so many different complexities with every single one of these. And then we add on top of that people wanting to be who they are, to be their best self, that takes a lot of work.
I tell clients all the time that our financial plans are carved in Jell-O because they're going to change. And you know, one of the things that really is remarkable to me is we probably have done in my office, we probably have done financial analysis and planning for 1,000 people. Okay, a lot of them came to us when they were already either about or retired. People come in and we visit with them, they're 70, 75 years old. And they're like, well, you know, I've never been to a planner. How about that? So it's never too late, especially when you have these echo careers of people saying, well, that was fun, I want to do something else. Nobody really wants to do nothing. And you know, after a while they say, okay, I've done the cruising, now what? And a lot of people get bored.
Maybe you've seen this with your clients too, that have a plan, they have a strategy to retire, and then they're a consultant. Yeah. And they're making money to spend on golf or wine or something fun that they really want to have extra money for. It makes them feel good. So they're not really retiring and just sitting on their couch. They really want to participate and be a part of their community, a part of society. And I think retirement needs to be redefined just to financial freedom. Having choice. Yeah.
That's what we say in our business is financial independence. So choice that you can choose every day what you want to do. Because that retirement period, if we think in that traditional sense of that 65, that's a lot of years to plan for. And studies show that people are happier when they're in a social environment or they're connected to purpose. And by maybe even doing that part-time job or some consulting, that can create just a stronger financial plan that'll make sure that they have the resources for their entire lifespan.
And the research is also showing that some of the increased levels of anxiety right now are for people who are transitioning into retirement, and that levels of happiness are decreasing. So what I'm trying to get at here is that retirement, yes, in terms of whether people are stopping work or transitioning to something else, are all these wonderful things, but it's life, and we're all individuals. We all have different behaviors that are going to go in different directions, and the planning element is really to help hone in to what's important to us, and that we're continuing to align what we're doing with our money, how we're planning for ourselves, for our family, with what truly is most important.
That's good. There's a strong need for recalibration. Life events, do they happen? All the time, right? So we build the plan, Jell-O or not, But we build a plan knowing that, you know, things are going to change. In fact, I joke with people and say, look, I'm showing you what I think is very likely in terms of your plan, your income, your, you know, assets, which you've accumulated. But I can guarantee you this. I can't guarantee you returns, but I can guarantee you something's going to change. And so I think where some of the anxiety comes from is people not having a clear path or a blueprint, and not knowing with confidence what they can do. And then, you know, one thing leads to another, right?
Well, an identity. You know, it's a very different identity.
Yeah, and it creates challenge when you not only have, you know, the individual, but then you have the couple and they're trying to reconcile on money, and also the staggered retirements. And I'm sure you've run into that where one says, I'm done. I'm retiring. You want to retire? You don't? I'm retired. And that creates additional challenges.
Or sometimes resentment too.
Yes.
That the spouse still working is resenting all the free time, and that person having all the free time is, you know, maybe like wanting more from the spouse working. So relationships is so important to think about in retirement.
They need to have a clear path. And I know that, you know, as certified financial planner practitioners, we have a very distinct view of this, that, you know, if it moves, it needs to have a financial plan. But people just have a hard time really setting a clear path. So to finish where we started, you know, when people retire, they say, okay, I've got this money. I need to know what to do with it. Okay, maybe I'll talk to somebody. But that's really just a start. And there's so much more that has to be done.
There is, and I think what you were just mentioning a few moments ago is we can plan for the things that we very much believe are going to be true based on statistics, what the client has shared with us about values and all these different pieces of information. But with our planning, one of the things that we all are able to do in our practices with our clients is to create the flexibility for the client to be able to shift, to move, to grow, and it doesn't have to be the static plan, which was in the past too often the case.
Yeah. Very good. Well, that's what it's all about. Thank you, ladies. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gambling on a strong market can be a big mistake in retirement. Now, why is it a mistake? Risk and return tend to go together. It's rare to get high returns without high risk. It just doesn't exist. I mean, you can have good returns, but you're going to have risk to get there. Now, here's a reality check, and it's a great quote. It's been attributed to Warren Buffett. You only find out who's been swimming naked when the tide goes out. In other words, when things are going very well, stock market's doing really well, things are good, the economy is good, that can cover a lot of sins. It can, in other words, cover somebody who maybe is taking a lot of risk by going without the trunks, right? So the person who swims naked is the one who takes a lot of risk with their investments, but because everything's going well, the tide is high, well, nobody knows. So that's a challenge, and it can create problems for people. Now, the other reality I want to share with you is when people lose money, when the markets go down, we sometimes will hear that, well, everybody's losing money. And this is sometimes what comes from the financial industry. Well, your account's down, but you're not the only one. A lot of people lost money. Well, that doesn't make you any less broke, right? If somebody else loses 40% and you lost 30%, should that make you feel better? No, you still lost money. And in retirement, that is not the time to have most of your money exposed to that kind of risk in the pursuit of those high returns when we think we're in a strong market. And then the second point is this. It's okay to miss return. Did I hear him just say that? David said it's okay to miss return? Yeah, it's okay to miss returns. You can't always be swinging for the fence. Now, I'm not saying you go all to cash or go hide under your blanket and never invest again. That's not my point. I just don't want people to think that they should stay 100% invested so that they don't miss out on return. It's okay to miss out on returns. The takeaway is this. Surrender to objectivity. Be objective about what you're doing. Don't get caught up in the emotion of a strong market. Get a second opinion if you're not sure, and do what you need to do. And if you do that, you'll plan stronger. I'd like to welcome to the program Kerry Hannon. She is the author of a dozen books on personal finance and retirement, including Great Jobs for Everyone 50 Plus. Kerry is visiting with us from Washington, D.C. Welcome, Kerry.
Hey, David, great to be here.
Good to be with you. So, you've been quoted as saying we should retire the word retire. Yay. Why?
Well, this is, retirement and retiring, it's like moving backwards, like you're slowing down
You're
and
giving
you're
up.
stepping back and receding. This is a time in life where these are our bonus years. You're moving forward. You're trying new challenges, new opportunities. So, some people say refire. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's not retire.
So it's a time to think about new challenges, new opportunities. Has the retirement landscape changed?
Without question, because we're living longer, presumably healthier lives. And so people are coming up on this, and in truth also a lot of people haven't saved adequately for retirement for these longer, healthier
Sure.
lives. So I think people are extending, or they're hoping to extend their working lives longer. And there's lots of good reasons why they should, and it's not all financial.
All right, excellent. So let's talk about that. What are some of the benefits of working longer?
Yeah, so number one, we're talking about some financial reasons, right? You can stave off dipping into those retirement accounts, and they can keep growing for you. You can maybe even continue to add to them, and you can push back taking Social Security till 70, where you get that little annual bump of around 8%. Those are all great financial reasons. There are physical reasons, use it or lose it. You're out there, you're mentally agile, you're staying part of the world. And there's the whole physical, social aspect where you have a network, you're with people. Because you know what, when people retire, they often go into kind of a depression. They mourn the loss of their old job and their colleagues. There's a whole emotional cost to retirement that we often don't talk about. And so being able to stay in the job market, and it doesn't have to be full steam ahead like your primary career was. There's so many opportunities here.
Very good. With the financial piece, you mentioned the ability to stave off drawing on those retirement accounts and your retirement funds. And it's a twofer because you also, when you eventually do retire, it's a shorter period over which those funds need to last.
No kidding. And so you've got that going for you. It's really, if you can do it, I say, please don't put off trying to do something on the side. A lot of people, even who have saved adequately for retirement, they want to continue working as a safety net. Maybe it's just your mad money, but whatever it is, it's a safety net.
Excellent. They also start thinking about their own legacy and all these other things, or just, like you said, socially remaining active. So what are some of the things that we're seeing with the job market? I mean, or trends, I guess, in terms of what's happening with opportunities for people?
It's interesting. I think there are not as many younger workers coming up because of the sheer population change. So we have an older population. Employers are starting to say, hey, maybe we need to keep them around a little bit longer. So I'm seeing more employers being willing to phase their older employers out on a more phased retirement basis, or keep them back on in part, bring them back on as consultants and in other working positions, or simply hiring them for not looking, being sort of agnostic about the age and saying, I just want somebody who can get this job done for me today.
I think employers look for the skills, the ability, the maturity that they, of course, get with the person that's been around a lot longer and learn how to interact with people, that somebody just starting out might be more limited there. And they appreciate that, and they don't necessarily think in terms of age, but how long will this person be able to work? And, is there an extended period here that this person can contribute? And I think people are all for that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's very good. What about hiring opportunities? What are some of the trends you see? Where are the jobs?
Yeah, well, the biggies are healthcare and education.
Okay.
But I see opportunities, particularly if you're an older worker. Look to small businesses, small associations, startups. These are groups that really value the experience you can bring to the job, the ballast you can bring. And so that is something that I encourage people to look at. They may end up being contract type positions, but nonetheless, there's opportunity there.
Contract position still pays, right?
It does.
Okay, we'll take it.
Does.
I've heard you refer to the riding the age wave. What does that mean?
I love these jobs. These are jobs that people in their 50s and 60s can do for people in their 70s and their 80s. So we're talking about this longevity boom again.
Okay.
So these are things that are being created every day. They're new ones we never even thought about. So it could be senior fitness trainers, senior massage therapist, home modification pro, because people want to age in place. A financial planner who just specializes in the aging market. There's lots of jobs that are just kind of creeping up in this area that I find really exciting.
You're making me chuckle because I'm thinking of the 60-year-old personal trainer training the 80-year-old.
Yes.
I think that's amazing and
It
wonderful.
happens.
I
It
love
happens.
it. Well, let's speak to some of the challenges then that we see with somebody trying to find a job midlife.
Yeah, these are very real concerns. Employers have these biases against older workers, and some of it may be true for some workers, but they're generalizations. They think you're not up to speed with technology, that you don't have the stamina or the energy to really do the job, that you're too expensive, health care, your salary demands. They think you'll be resentful if you take a position that is where you were before or slightly lower.
Yeah.
And they think you're not going to play well with the other kids, meaning you're not going to like working for a younger boss. Some of these things could be true, but in reality, these are all things that we can combat.
Well, these are all under the category of ageism.
Yes,
and so
indeed.
How do we address that? Is there a way that the older worker who brings so much to the table can help the employer become comfortable and or help them not look at it that way?
Well, first, you need to keep your skills up to date. You cannot coast. You can't say, oh, well, look what I have done over my career. Absolutely not. You have to be present. You have to be able to do the job today and have current skills. And so lifelong learning is non-negotiable. In tech skills, you've got to have them. You might not have to have the full kit, but you definitely need to be sharp. And I say with ageism, I get so many, when I speak, I often get women in general, but often come up and say, should I get Botox? Should I dye my hair? People judge a book by its cover.
Wow.
I say no, get physically fit. When you have a fitness program, you bring this positivity, this energy. And people don't know what they're looking at, that they want you on your team. They want you on their team. They want you to be part of their organization. So I say, eat with an eye on nutrition, get physically fit.
Excellent. Yeah, it's the energy, it's the vitality
Yep.
that you bring to the position and doing the work. Other concerns that we may need to address from the employer standpoint?
Well, I think those are the big ones. I
Okay.
think the expense is huge. I mean, they worry that you're going to want too much money. And you know what? So you've got to do some soul searching and say, am I willing to work for less? And am I going to be okay with that? And especially a lot of times people are shifting different industries. They may be redeploying their skill set, which is not reinventing themselves, but they're moving to a different field. They may very well have to take a pay cut. So be honest with yourself. What are you willing to do?
And then build your plan based on that and how you interact and how you talk to the employers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent.
And we self-sabotage ourselves often by talking about, oh, my creaky bones or my grandchildren or
Don't
whatever.
do that.
Don't do it.
All right. Great insights, Kerry. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I have a retirement mistake I want to share with you. Ignoring family and personal longevity. This is actually one that my clients have helped me with over the years to be better at planning and accommodating each personal situation that we're working on. So why is ignoring longevity a mistake? Well, let me walk you through it. The length of your retirement is going to affect how much income you can get from your assets and how you need to invest the money to get the income. So if we hold the dollar amount of retirement assets kind of as a constant, we use a specific amount, and we need that to provide income for 20 years versus 30 years, well, that's going to have a big impact on how much income the person can get each month to enjoy their retirement. The shorter period, they can have more income. The longer period, well, they may have to reduce the income that they're getting to make it last long enough. Or, there's a lot of variables here, or we might have to invest the money differently to get the same amount of income each month for that longer period, say the 30 years versus the 20, the person's going to need to invest a little more growth oriented. In other words, they're going to have to have more return on the money to sustain that higher level of income. So there's a lot of variables that come into play. Now, the reality check here is this, and I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about with how these pieces work together and how you need to consider longevity. Let's say we have somebody whose family doesn't have a history of living long. Let's say all their family, siblings, parents, all died before age 70. And let's say they've had a history of health issues that they're aware of. And let's say that they know that their lifestyle has not been that great. Well, this person might want to plan on a shorter retirement, meaning not living as long, versus maybe somebody else who's got a different situation who should plan for the longer retirement. The takeaway is this: you have to assess your longevity, you've got to build a plan to match, and you redeploy, you reconfigure, and you make sure your money's where it needs to be to match up with the plan. And if you do that, you'll plan stronger. We covered a lot on today's program. Thank you for watching. I hope you found the information and the guests informative, and I hope you plan stronger.
If you would like more information about the topics and our guests featured in this series, please visit our website at PlanStrongerTV.com. Also, if you have a question you would like David to answer, please send it to questions@PlanStrongerTV.com.
PlanStrongerTV is made possible in part by the following.
Helping you create a better retirement through home equity. The Stephen J. Sless Group of PRMI, National Reverse Mortgage Leaders. Expect more with Sless. The Rice Law Firm is dedicated to providing prompt, high-quality, and fairly priced service in the areas of wills, trusts, probate, and estate planning. We also assist individuals with divorce, family law, and prenuptial agreements. The Rice Law Firm is the name you can trust. To order the free PlanStronger newsletter and get the latest updates on the show, go to www.PlanStrongerTV.com/subscribe.